Thank you very much, Dash. And hopefully this first one is going to be a fantastic start to the day. FlyQuest versus Echo Fox. We already heard the analysts say they're looking for some action in the bottom lane, so hopefully this is a bloody one.
Yeah, we're looking for that action, especially because yesterday, even though Echo Fox didn't come away with the win, there was a very close game between them. It came down to that smite, but also you look at the performances of Phoenix and also Apollo and Hakuo. They were putting up some great numbers yesterday, and so they're coming into this ready to go against the bottom lane from FlyQuest.
And as we're moving through the split, we're into week 3 now, so after this, every team's going to have 6 games under their belt. We're actually starting to get a pretty good sample size of how the teams look and how well they're measuring up against a lot of their opponents throughout the league. And we eventually hit that point, it won't be for another week or two, where you can start to make real evaluations about where they rank compared to everyone else. There's always that sort of stipulation at the start of the split where the sample size is too small. You can't really say too much just yet, but I'm looking to see teams really start to turn things on.
And also, strength of schedule is a big point, too, because they haven't played every single team, right? If you have a front-loaded schedule, your record will look worse than your actual ability. If you're the 4th best team and you play the 3 best ones right before, then you're going to have those 3 losses early in the split. So you have to kind of keep that in mind, too. But like you were saying, I do want to piggyback on that. The standings are becoming a little more fleshed out, but not in the way that people thought. In Liquid at the top, Golden Guardians just got their first win yesterday against Optic, and now everybody's sitting in this 2-3-3-2 area, and we have like a 5-way tie in the middle of the standings. So today, we may actually end up with more questions later than answers.
And it also means every single win matters that much more when you're so close to everyone else, because it could just be the smallest of margins pulling you ahead. As we get into the draft, let's see how things are shaping up. FlyQuest getting rid of Silas, Scion, and Aatrox, while Echo Fox removes Cassiopeia and Akali from the table.
Yep, Urgot is something that also jumps out here as a potential ban or first pick for FlyQuest. And that's kind of what I'm expecting here, unless they're going to throw another one down on something like Lucian, which I think if you're looking at a bottom lane domination area, Lucian might be your first pick.
Absolutely. The Urgot will be banned out. We've seen plenty of first picks onto that champion, as you've already mentioned, but they're keeping that one out of Viper's hands. As we heard on the desk, top lane might be a bit of an island this time around, so if that's the case, having to deal with Urgot in a strictly 1v1 scenario isn't that pleasant, but FlyQuest will be able to secure that Lucian for Wild Turtle.
Yep, Lucian, which means that Ezreal is most likely going to be picked in the first round here for Echo Fox, because you don't want it to fall to the second round. They'll be banned away 100% in those last 2 bans that the other team gets. So it would be Ezreal, and if you want to get a primary support or jungler, that's usually where you'll pick it up here. The Alistar, the Braum, even maybe the Thresh for Hakuho. I mean, Tahm Kench is also another one that you can go pretty far with here if you're going disengage bottom lane.
And we've seen Ezreal ever since the change to the W, as well as the fact that now he's had the ultimate worked around a little bit as well. He can very, very easily pull off this hybrid style of build with Sork shoes with both tier items, and the champion, the old issues of Ezreal only spiking in mid-game and feeling bad late are far gone at this point in time. The champion is very scary, and Echo Fox is going to pick the Jace here for themselves, which we did see in the jungle yesterday.
Last I checked, it is still North America, so it is an NA Jace no matter what. That's always going to happen.
Is the place.
But the question is this going to be one of the funnel strategies? Is this Jace in the jungle like we saw yesterday, or is this solo in the top lane with the Jace? Because Echo Fox had side selection today. They selected red side, which gives them that last pick. You could have picked Silas last pick. It gets banned away. Now things like the Zillion, the Lulu, the Karma, even the Kennen are things with the Kleptomancy Frostmancer build that you can have top lane.
And looking at FlyQuest, you can see their response to that Jason Ezreal is going to be Nocturne in the jungle, as well as the Ornn that FlyQuest has played to great success in the support role. JJ's ability to engage on this champion, even when he falls behind early on. We've seen previously him have a very bad start, going 0-3 at the start of a game, and then having that impact later on anyway. This is a key champion for FlyQuest. It was banned against them yesterday in their loss against Team Liquid, but now they've got it again.
And we've seen them get double kills in the bottom lane, right? I believe they were able to get it, I believe against TSM is when it happened, when they were able to just get that double kill, ended up coming away with the victory there last week. And the Ornn for JJ, like you said, very well versed in it, but also when you start hitting that later part of the game, he gives your team 1,000 gold every level free. It doesn't show up on the scoreboard. It shows up in terms of upgraded items. So the gold later on when Ornn is in the game does lie to you a bit, and we'll be keeping track of that if it gets that late game.
I do like the fact that Echo Fox in response says, all right, you're going to pick the Ornn, we're going to pick the traditional counter here. in the Braum, something that can throw up the shield, interrupt the Ornn Horn, make it so the Ram just has to sadly wander back into the mountains from whence he was summoned.
I think he just disappears. He
just evaporates into thin air. But let's take a look at how we're banning things out in the second phase here, as LeBlanc and Rumble will be banned away by Echo Fox, and FlyQuest will remove Camille, and with 3 seconds left to go, it looks like that final ban of this game will be the Olaf.
Olaf banned away. So now we'll figure out if that Jace is going into the jungle, because typically you will pick either your top laner here, or if you're picking a jungler here, like a pretty much give it away, it is going to be a jungler, then you'll figure out where people are going very quickly afterwards. So
you want to leave that last pick as a counter pick.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Xin, Gragas, Lee Sin are the ones that jump up to me, but this still is a top lane flex support also, but the Braum is most likely
already
going
locked
there.
in.
So
I don't know where else we would say. I mean, we've seen some wacky stuff.
I'm just like, Gragas is a triple flex, but now it's a double flex here. It most likely is going into the jungle though, but this still gives a Jace flex for top and mid, and FlyQuest will have to show both those roles here.
FlyQuest hovering the Kennen. See if they decide to lock that one in. I mean, Kennen and Jace are two of those champions that are sort of in the top laner's book of things I don't want to deal with if you're playing a standard top lane champion, but if they're played into each other, it equalizes itself out a little bit. Both have the ability to attack from range as well as farm rather safely.
Yeah, and most of the time, this matchup, it's the Jace that wins it early and in mid points of the game, but the late game goes over to the Kennen. The Jace can knock him out. The Jace has the Q range that's equal to the basic attack range of Kennen. So at all points, the Kennen is in threat range of the Jace, and so he kind of has his way in the lane in terms of the poke. But now we're going to see finally what rounds out these drafts at the end.
And it looks like FlyQuest goes for the Lissandra. We have seen so much of this champion with Aftershock coming to the forefront of Lissandra meta styles of play. You've got Aftershock, that's 2.5 seconds of incredible resistances. You've got your ult, which is 2.5 seconds of invulnerability and healing. And then a Zhonya's, which is almost always built. That's another 2.5 seconds of invulnerability. That's 7.5 seconds. She can jump in, disrupt your team, and just be a nuisance that you can't do anything about it. The Echo Fox response is going to be someone else who wants to be right in the thick of the battle with Swain.
Yeah, Phoenix on that Swain. We'll see what he's able to do here in the mid parts of the game, but he does have some great CC in the lane that you can pull people off of. You can chain the Gragas E into your passive pull, into your own kind of grab there with the Swain. So a decent amount of CC, but another thing to consider with this draft is the fact that there's a Nocturne on the other side. The Nocturne can visit the Jace lane, the Nocturne can go after the Swain. So Santorin actually has a lot of power in this draft, and come level 6, he's the one that I'm looking at here to try and sway the game either way for his team, because the bottom lane seems like they're going to be set with the Lucian.
Nocturne is always one of the champions that I particularly like to keep an eye on in a game that is set up to have split pushers, whether he is with them or against them. Even if you're sending somebody on split push management duty, if you've got someone who might not want to split push themselves but just wants to stop the opponent, if Nocturne can fly in and help them just have that little bit of extra damage to take you out, again, that can still do the trick.
Exactly. It's a long-range engage with the shadowing of that laner. The split push is very important, and when you have a Lissandra and you have a Kennen, they're both people who can run away with the game potentially, and it's a good mix of physical and magic damage, I would say.
All right, quick update for everybody wondering what the delay is. All champions were locked in correctly. There were no mistake picks or anything like that. However, Hakuo had an issue being able to properly adjust runes, so Champion Select is being remade. All the same champions will be picked, and provided Hakuo is able to lock those in, we'll be on to Summoner's Rift here in just a moment.
Yeah, can't dodge in professional play, can't go, nope, don't want to play against that composition today.
Rip.
You have to play against it at the end of it, and then you get to complain to your coach.
Complain to your coach instead of your friends, like, sorry, bro, can't queue up with you. Got the 5-minute timer on
going
this
on
one.
my Smurf today.
Yeah, I'll just smurf it up instead. But we'll see who ends up smurfing it up this game. We have seen some pretty incredible performances from some of these players here so far. Notably, Pobelter is someone who sticks out in my mind on the side of FlyQuest, has had some really strong performances already in the first couple weeks of play in this split, and really seems to be enjoying taking more of a carry role on FlyQuest.
Yeah, Pobelter is someone who ended up having some great flanks, and with the TPs and the way that FlyQuest have been setting up their mid-game team fights, this is a team that actually looked the closest to beating Team Liquid yesterday. They came very close. It was within 1,000 gold for most of that game, and it came down to some team fights where FlyQuest just didn't look completely on the same page for it, but that's all that it took against the team that was sitting there now 5-0 undefeated. So
FlyQuest has definitely done a lot, I think, so far in these first couple weeks to show people that they are a team that should definitely not be slept on.
Yeah, the person, though, that you have to kind of look at when you're looking at Pobelter and saying this is a guy who's been performing really well, you have to look at the rookie in the top lane in Viper. He almost got Flame Horizon, saved the game, actually ended before he got 4 CS, I believe, that Impact was looking at to be actually 100 up over him in I believe it was Urgot Scion looking matchup. So that's somebody that you have to watch out for in the top lane and feel like, when is he going to find his comfort here? We're 5 games in. This is the 6th game that he's played on the stage. And when is it going to be, hey, he's able to just kind of play the game that you thought Viper would be able to, this Riven one trick from solo queue from before, now on the Kennen, will he have that opportunity in this game to have those flashy team fights?
And I love that story, too, how he was originally this guy who everybody looked at him and said, oh, yeah, that's a solo queue player. Like, you're not going to see a guy like this in pro play, probably, because he's just locking in Riven every game. This is what he does. But he has done a good job making that transition. He played in Academy last year. Of course, he did have some Riven plays during that time. It was more of a pocket pick, but he's done a good job learning the meta, branching out from being that one trick and becoming a competent competitive player.
Exactly, a very flexible player too, because you can play a very high level one trick. It just comes down to you'll be exploited every single game. We saw it when he had those growing pains. Yeah, but you'll be exploited with those growing pains that we saw from him in Academy, right? And for yourself, nobody banned Skarner, so I don't even know.
No, the very first time, I'll have you know, the second day that I worked here at Riot, I did an internal play test here on the stage.
Oh, yeah.
Make sure the computers were working, and the first thing they banned was Skarner. I was like, is this really how we're going to welcome new people, Riot? Is this how we do it around here? We ban Skarners?
But then you play like Wukong or the dog, you play Warwick, right? You only play animal champions. I know, I've realized that.
Yeah, PETA friendly. PETA friendly. But still working on getting the game remade here. Hopefully we will be on to Summoner's Rift here momentarily for that first game of the day. FlyQuest and Echo Fox. If Echo Fox wins this one, they are tied with FlyQuest in the standings. If FlyQuest wins, they're going to continue trying to trail Liquid as closely as possible, staying near the top.
Exactly. And FlyQuest, they definitely want to do that. But also the loser of this has an 0-2 weekend. FlyQuest don't want that. But Echo Fox definitely don't want that. And Rush in particular, we look back at his record, he has never had an 0-2 weekend in his entire career. There were some best of threes where he loses 2 games in a row, but he never had an 0-2 weekend, not on TIP, not on Cloud9, and I believe not also in on KT, because they also didn't play on weekends sometimes, right? They played during the day.
Does that really count, though?
I believe there isn't any that are back-to-back either, though, in terms of losses. And he was splitting time. So he never had an 0-2 weekend. This would be his first 0-2 ever if he loses today.
Not a kind situation for the kind boy, but he is on the type of champion that people like to see him on. I remember the first week when people saw him locking the Karthus, they were like, wait, what the hell? This isn't a Rush champion. He's just throwing Skittles on the ground. We want to see some Lee Sin. We want to see some Nidalee. We want to see some playmaking. And Gragas is one of those champions that you can really make some highlight reels out of, especially these days where you see him go for something like the Runic Echoes usually as opposed to the Cinder Hulk that we've seen in the past. It allows him to get in there, wombo combo some people down, and a well-placed Gragas ult is one of the most effective initiations in all of League of Legends.
And I want to see where he starts on the map, too, because the Gragas typically doesn't want to start red buff, but because he has a Jace and he's on red side, it'll be that northern part of the map where his red buff will be. So I assume he might go for vertical jungling to be next to the Jace, but you do want to start the blue. So it's kind of that back and forth of which one is really better for you to start on here. And I want to see and watch his pathing here, especially against Santorin, who would take advantage of any lapses in judgment in the path.
We've already talked about the comparison here earlier on during the countdown segment between Santorin and Rush, how Rush was this guy known for high mechanical ability. Santorin, the dude who's going to control the map, who's going to track people and just keep track of everything for his team. That's interesting stylistic conflict to see here as we are finally loading into Summoner's Rift. And we will soon be ready here for game number 1.
Ooh, okay, looking at the top lane immediately, Viper, he does not have Kleptomancy. This is not going to be a funnel Kennen to my knowledge. It is Aftershock.
Aftershock Kennen. All right, this raises an interesting conversation because Aftershock has been used by a variety of different champions now. It provides you a ton of tankiness up front, and we know Kennen actually has a relatively easy time proccing it. Of course, just using your basic abilities to combo, you have to hit 3 to get the stun, but once you've got the ulti, it's easy. Press R, Aftershock.
Exactly, and it keeps you alive, and you can build squishy. It's something that a lot of people were doing. I saw it in mid lane. There was a guy in Scouting Grounds who was doing it. People were banning it away from him, saying, we don't want to play against this. But it's just so many stats that allow you to take long trades.
Sideline report coming up right now. We have Avali, who was able to talk to Invert just earlier.
Thanks, guys. I'm here with Coach Invert. Wanted to pick your brain on the aftershock cannon that we saw. What was the inspiration behind the pick today?
Well, for us, we just want to survive the early game against Jace, and then Kennen with Nocturne can just tackle that split push later, trail the Kennen, break him out for the team fights. We have a lot of explosive engage, so we're just going to use that to our advantage this game.
Well, Invert, thank you and best of luck to you. Back to you guys.
Thank you very much, Avali. And I like to look at Aftershock Zyrene as a Chad build enabler. It gives you the defenses built in through the keystone that allow you to not worry about building that stuff through your actual items.
Nobody would say it's a Chad rune choice, but a Chad enabler.
Yeah,
I like it. That's
It's not a Chad choice in itself because it doesn't really do damage. It just makes you not die, but it enables the rest of you to be Chad.
I like it. I like it.
That's exactly what you're going for when you go for the Aftershock on something like the Kennen. You're saying, I don't want to have to build defensively, I want my hat. And that allows you to just blow people up with the AP ratios in the team fights. We'll see how well it works out for them as we take a look at where everybody's starting. It is going to be both junglers beginning at the blue buffs, and we'll see if we see some of that vertical jungling that you were talking about and how they want to play that out.
Yeah, but the issue is that you really want to have the vertical jungling when you're playing the Jace, and so you can push this and not be ganked. But the Scuttle Crab on the top side will go over to Santorin, and it looks like Rush might split the map and go towards the bottom side here. After the Scuttle Crabs, that's the most important move here from who goes to which side. But I feel like FlyQuest have better vision in terms of they actually know that the Scuttle Crab on the bottom side is being taken by Rush when he'll cross over, and that Santorin hasn't been spotted except by, I believe, maybe that Poro ward in the top side.
So you saw a couple pings coming out from Echo Fox, one onto the top side Scuttle Crab that had already been taken, one onto the red buff of FlyQuest. Of course, with Rush just taking a casual stroll through mid lane, everyone's aware of exactly where he's at. Santorin gets back on his own side of the map, recognizing Rush was heading towards him, does not want to risk being caught out there.
Yeah, good path there from Rush to go for 3 camps, get level 3 by crossing mid, and then go for the buff. So he had to kind of leech level 3. It almost gets you there when you do 3 camps, including the Scuttle Crab. The only path that does get you 3 is, going for the top side clear, the red buff side clear, and then I think it's like buff and scuttle. But also stealing some experience mid helps too.
Yeah, you just have to tax a couple of them there. Bottom side Apollo will take some damage from Wild Turtle. And I talked a little bit about this yesterday, but I want to bring it up again for anyone who didn't catch the memo. Talking with Turtle this split, he's really come to this conclusion where he was this guy who was for a long time known as the flash forward AD carry, the guy who's always going to make the aggro play, always making that aggressive move. Mid lane is Pobelter trading onto Phoenix here, but finding himself on the losing end of it, gets back with the claw, but Wild Turtle has since come to this sort of recognition of the fact that going aggro is not the most optimal way to play AD carry in the lane anymore. At least that's what he seems to believe now. So he's taken a step back. He's playing more defensively, just sort of allowing things to farm themselves out in the bottom side, going aggro when he can, but sort of saving those crazy signature Turtle plays for later on in the game when he has the big economy and he can just jump in, bang, 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 take somebody out.
Yeah, it's so interesting too because in the lane here, he's also selected kind of more of a harassing option with going with the Doran's Ring. It's something that you don't typically see from before, but he's making use of the 90% AP ratio on the Ardent Blaze. And we've seen some people put 3 points into Ardent Blaze, start maxing E or start maxing Q, and caring more about the individual trading early on. Because right now, I believe it has 27 more damage just from the AP ratio alone on the Lucian because of the adaptive bonuses that he has early.
Yeah. The adaptive bonus. Remember, rune choices, when you have adaptive items, every champion has a base stat, either AD or AP, that adaptive will lean towards, just individually set for what your champion is. But once you start building items for AD or AP, that base will be overridden. So even though Lucian's base is AD, it switches over to AP thanks to the ring.
Yeah, and he also did just put a second point into it here at level 4. So it is going to be a build that probably puts about 2 or 3 points into it and then swaps over from there.
I feel your pain, audience. The collective sigh as we reach into the bag of well-known sepia tone that is the pause screen. Hopefully we'll get an update about that so I can share with you guys exactly why we are paused. But taking a look at the state of the game as the pause happens, we have just crested the 5-minute mark. Farm relatively close across the board, but also all lanes are currently favoring a slight edge towards Echo Fox.
Yeah, Echo Fox have about a 200 gold advantage here. And like you said, every single lane, it's just the jungle that is about 3 or so in favor of Santorin, but that's literally just one camp here as the second Scuttle Crab comes up.
Right. Not even an entire camp, like 4 out of 6 chickens, and one of them is the big one.
Yeah, but that's also a testament to just the fact that Echo Fox have the winning top lane right now. They have the winning mid lane, especially with Grasp of the Undying on a ranged champion to just harass and poke from the Swain. And then on the bottom side, they're surviving the matchup with the better early support. So it's kind of on Wild Turtle's Lucian to try and get even in this matchup, but Kleptomancy is also going to make a bigger difference there too. So this is kind of Echo Fox's draft in the early game going a long ways for them, whereas FlyQuest, it's about that team fighting again that we were talking about, where Pobelter's a big linchpin in it, but now on this composition, Viper is too.
We're back into the game now. There was a minor visual issue for Apollo, but it has been fixed. So the game has been resumed. Phoenix will continue pushing up Pobelter here in the mid lane. Both these mid laners having full corrupting potions means they're in a good spot to stay in these lanes for a while. You can see the state of the teleport cooldowns means they both were recently able to get back, shop up. The Dark Seal also being in the inventories means the potions are going to be more effective than usual. We'll see if Santorin wants to make anything happen around here. Probably not an opportunity to do so just yet. Nocturne, one of those champions, very ultimate dependent. And as such, it's very, very important that he sees success with each and every ultimate early on.
Yeah, and he's just been power farming right now, so he's got an advantage over Rush, who just went for the back and just got his Predator boots. So we'll see if he's able to find something there with that gank. And with Santorin, it's just trying to get towards that level 6 because he actually has great laners to gank for. The Lissandra as well as the Kennen. I feel like even Invert was kind of mentioning it or edging towards that when he was talking about we're trying to survive the early game with the Aftershock because they know this composition is about the late game. They know it's about later on coming together and having that team fight.
Bottom side, you can see Turtle did go with what you were talking about. 3 points into the Ardent Blaze just for strictly powerful laning. You saw how much damage that did just a moment ago as he fired it into Apollo. See if maybe he can land another one here as they try to put some work on the plating. Yep, nice little chunks of the HP bar there. Constantly going to keep Apollo on the back foot and allow Turtle and JJ to continue to control this lane. And again, keep your eye out. When we saw these guys get a 2v2 kill before versus a Braum lane, if Braum wastes that shield even once post level 6, that's a good sign for JJ to say, all right, we're going to go in. We'll see exactly how they can make that happen. First Drake is also Infernal this time around, so those predictions the desk had about this game potentially being bot lane centric. Wanting to see the junglers head down there, get those guys off to a good start, control the Drakes. Infernal, the most important Drake to control in a lot of situations.
It's interesting because against a team composition that wants to scale too, if FlyQuest are able to get this, it'll benefit them for the early skirmishes that they have in mid game. Whereas Echo Fox, they want this to just start snowballing power on their composition. And it's funny too because I think the changes to the Drakes kind of shifted the priority in them, where Infernal is one of the ones that doesn't go as far as the others as the first Drake. The Ocean is great for the laning phase. It's actually fantastic now. And Mountain is super good at getting you early plates because it's pre-mitigation. You'll hit those plates for 30 damage physical and then like 27 true damage on top of it. So the Mountain Drake goes a very long way pre-14 minutes, whereas the Infernal will give you a boost early, but it's more of that scaling Drake for late game.
Insurance policy for later on. If the game drags out to that point, we've got Infernals. We have something else in our pocket. As you can see 3 Echo Fox members around here making sure they secure that crab. Viper's going to eat the Accelerated Shock Blast. Bottom side, trades going back and forth.
That's what you were talking about.
Up the shield.
Where's the horn?
They're very close to the turret, though. It is pretty dangerous to go in like that.
I feel like if JJ didn't get stunned right there, he would have blown the Orn Horn on both of them. That was so close, but it was just that final attack there that connected and stunned him up.
Ultis also available now on both junglers. Playmakers ready to go. We'll see where they decide to use those. Rush clearing out his red buff. You can see Santorin still hanging out on the top side of the map, clearing down through the jungle. His red will be spawning soon. You can expect to see him path towards that. Then we'll see if maybe he can make a play happen as Pobelter roams towards the bottom lane. Lissandra is an incredible turret diver with the ability to drop aggro. Combine that with the Orn Horn and the damage from Lucian, but it looks like they don't want to make that play just yet. Not enough information to feel safe about it.
Yeah, they got spotted by a ward that's on that ramp area next to where Pobelter was. And Phoenix, they're just trading back and forth here, and the Grasp will get the better of that trade just slightly.
Absolutely. Phoenix also wanted to get to that level 9. That way you have the ability to spam the Qs on Swain, one of those champions that really drops the cooldown of his main ability drastically as he levels it up. And once you have Death's Hand up to that 5th level, you're going to be spamming it every couple of seconds.
We got to watch the jungle right here on the bottom side. They're looking like they're trying to make a play, but Santorin's going to be there too.
The Horn is stuffing. Very nice read on the flash. Make sure he's able to predict him and follow him up. That's surely going to be first blood over the side of FlyQuest, but now where else is the fight going to go? Turtle's going to find himself in a 1 versus 2. Gets rid of it with the culling. Pobelter trying to lock down Phoenix, make sure that the rest of his teammates aren't going to be caught out. POV has to go into the stasis, keeping himself alive for now. Two-shot barrage will find its way onto him. That's going to be a return kill for Echo Fox. 1 from 1.
And they have to get out of here because JJ, he might be just in range, and he's going to get out. That was so close. That was such a good read there with the Ornhorn, actually saying that Rush is going to go over the wall and catches him with the prediction. That was really smooth from JJ.
That was very well read and exactly what I talked about with this guy knowing his Ornn and this being a staple pick for FlyQuest, saying, all right, if Rush doesn't flash away, he's done, so aim for where the flash goes.
Exactly. That was really well done here. And because it's also covering where Rush can see, goes in, that was nice. That was really nice. And then the combination, and then isn't able to get the final clap on until the end. So the first blood does go over to him because Rush got a little bit of a counter there, but then Pobelter goes in onto Phoenix to try and guard his 2 buddies on the top side, but then he has to ulti himself. Santorin wants nothing to do with the follow-up on the fight because Wild Turtle gets zoned so far away. So Pobelter goes in kind of to save his brothers, but at the same time, sacrifices himself.
The noble sacrifice, getting 2 lives out at the cost of 1. Pobelter sitting on the Sword Shoes and the Hextech Revolver, currently going to be going for that Proto Belt. Also worth noting, there were multiple commencing stopwatches in inventories at the beginning of this game. I believe I read 5 of them in the chat. And since we're past 10 minutes, those have all clicked online. So more stasises. We saw it buy Pobelter a little bit of time using the stasis in his ultimate in the last fight. So we'll see who can get best use out of those stopwatches now, with those next fights having those available. Also worth noting, if you look at the inventory of Solo in the top lane, Jace did go for the Hex Drinker early on, wants to make sure he has that extra defensive capability against both Viper and Pobelter, but it will delay the damage a little bit.
But it's a perfect build here in case you're going to get roamed on. You want to get these plates, you want to have that early pushing advantage. So Jace plays for the early game to try and accelerate it through these plates at the beginning. And he really wants that second one down. That extra 160 gold would be so good on him.
Bottom side, you can see the Blade of the Ruined King completed for Wild Turtle here as well. First big item for him. And if you look across the street at Apollo, he's working on completing that Iceborne. Of course, the Ezreal first completed item is slightly delayed compared to most other 80 carries because you do want to get the tier online and stacking as fast as possible, especially if you're going for that modern double tier build so you can get that completed, start working on the second one later on. 12 minutes into the game, neither team has exerted any control, especially over the Drake area just yet, but Echo Fox has 3 members down here ready to go. It's Rush coming in. Looking to make the gank happen. JJ has no flash, and he likely has no way out of this one. True shot barrage makes sure Apollo's able to find the kill.
Rush gets the revenge, says, you can predict that, but I know you have no flash now, no way out, throws the cask, and that might be the Drake on top of it too, as they rotate towards it.
Barrel in. Of course, the pit has not been swept, so FlyQuest does have eyes that this is happening, but considering they just lost their support, he's only now respawning, and Echo Fox has 4 members in the river. This one is a freebie for Fox.
And it's so interesting as well to kind of look at where they've selected to gank. The bottom side with the Drake, with the, priority.
Meanwhile, talking about where they're deciding to gank, it's FlyQuest top side. Hex Drinker or not, Santorin's going to tear you apart.
That was exactly what I was getting towards. Was why is Fox going towards the bottom side? Well, the Drake is pulling them there. It's not necessarily the winning lane, and they ditch the top side of the map, which has the Jace, which is supposed to be this point of power that you can kind of put the dagger in and then twist it because it's already winning. And instead, Viper with the ultimate and the flash and the backup of Santorin, they're able to split the map, get the counter gank on the top side, and go for this Rift Herald on top of it.
Want to get Shelly as fast as possible. Phoenix moving in, looking to stop these guys if he can. Goes into the ultimate. Remember, stopwatch available on this guy. He can buy plenty of time here. Stunned up for now. Forced into the fear afterwards as well. Goes into the stasis. Still not too worried about being taken down just yet. The damage. Pressure forward. Solo shows up. Accelerated shock blast. Not going to find its way onto anyone. FlyQuest trying to back themselves away. Mana bars are low. Turtle caught out and brought down. Solo makes sure of that one. And it's another 1-0 fight for Echo Fox.
Yeah, and that means that the Rift Herald actually is going to get picked up there, I think, as well. On top of it, they had to focus that down to try and get it. They did get it. Santorin is the one who walked away with it, but it just took them a little longer.
Important to note, though, we are past 14 minutes now. Turret plates are no longer around. They broke even 2 for 2 for both teams, but you can't use Shelly on the plates now. Shelly can be very effective against turret plating to grab yourself and your team some extra gold, but since we're past that point, not happening this time around. Let's take another look at the fight.
Yep. So Santorin has to focus on Shelly for the beginning part of this, get the smite down so he's not dealing damage to Phoenix. Goes in, and the flea happens. He goes and picks it up, says, nope, not going to forget the Rift Herald today. Not going to happen in this game.
Only once per weekend.
Almost getting a lot of damage there on Santorin, but not really. And right here, he hits Wild Turtle with the E, but it's the Swain pole that makes Wild Turtle fly towards him. So it looks really funky, where the Jace is batting him away. He goes the opposite direction.
Gotta love the way that works sometimes, but Herald picked up. FlyQuest learning from TSM's mistakes yesterday, making sure that they get the prize for taking down the Shelly.
I mean, Santorin's learned from TSM for a long time now. It's part of his career at this point.
Going after Solo, who flashes away, but not out of the way of the Fear Tether. Tries to bring the hammer down onto Santorin, knocking him backwards. But Santorin says, I still got one more tool in the belt to use. And there we go. That's 2-0-1 now for your Nocturne.
Yep, and that was also, I believe, having the priority in that mid lane for Pobelter, able to use the E to get a little bit closer so that Phoenix wasn't there to back him up.
And look at the inventory from Santorin. You've got the stopwatch, you've also got a chain vest, and this hints to me at a very early Guardian Angel, which means you can go ballistic missile mode, just dive into 5 people and not worry about your own safety. As long as you pressure that value target, who cares if you die, you're coming back.
Exactly. Sometimes you see the Black Cleaver coming out, but there's nobody who's going to build armor early in this game at all on the other side, except for the Ezreal, who will get some from the Iceborne Gauntlet, and potentially Ninja Tabis if he goes there. But they don't have a true tank, somebody who needs shredding. So Santorin is just looking at getting in there, surviving, and having the team fight back him up, because he's the one who has all the kills at the moment. Everybody else is kind of lagging a bit behind, especially in terms of CS in the lane.
Yeah.
So he's making up a lot of that work here. And the Des was talking about it, where Santorin has been a bit underrated this split, where he's come in and he's been very controlling in terms of the pace of the game, and on this Nocturne is no different. The early game went his way off pathing because nothing happened to disrupt him, and then he's able to get the ganks in the right places with the ultimates.
Turtle's doing a good job staying caught up in terms of farm, but Pobelter down about 25 there in mid lane. Same story can be told for Viper in the top side with the Cannon. Gold still very close between the teams, but it is Echo Fox pulling up to about a 700 gold lead for themselves now. Viper trying to chase down Solo here, find a little bit of damage. Won't be able to get him, considering the fact that you've got that Ghost Blade now completed onto Solo. I talked earlier about how the first item would be delayed because of the Hex Drinker, but we've hit that point where he's got it anyway. The speed boost gets him out of trouble, as Echo Fox will continue posturing around this mid lane. They know this turret is about to fall, and they would love to get that extra money.
And with the help of the Demolish, too, from Phoenix, so he's been able to, like, walk up, get a plate, walk up, get some more damage. He's 1,000 gold up over Pobelter right now with the kill and the assist in the back pocket. But that first turret already looks like it went down on the top side where Solo was pressuring.
Yep.
So the Jace, mission accomplished. But the rest of the game...
And now the fight is breaking out. Remember, Phoenix does not have any way to go into the stasis for that one. He's bursted down before he can do much of anything. Turtle goes over the wall, looking to find even more damage onto Rush. Solo returning. A little bit of pain for Echo Fox, but that's a 1 for 0 for FlyQuest. Shelly's going to be summoned up as well, and they say, this is our moment, this is our tempo. Bring everybody here into the mid lane. Let Viper stay top, push things out. Shelly might just get her charge off still. It's going to be close. Oh, but they smite her down. Well played by Echo Fox.
The kind boy smite comes out. He's able to take that one down there. And also that gave pressure on the top side of the map to FlyQuest. Thing is Viper going to take that pressure too far with the Mountain Drake up here? Because he's getting some turret damage, but that might be a Drake just going over to the opposite side.
Yeah, it looks like FlyQuest doesn't have much concern for contesting this Mountain Drake at all. Everyone's sort of split off and gone their own way. Some people were farming, some people were shopping. Turtle was pushing out the bottom wave. They just decided it's not worth it, and that is another objective, going the way of Echo Fox.
And they really want that Mountain Drake to get these turrets down early. So both Drakes, like you said, have gone their way. And now when they reach this turret, it's going to be very easy for them to take this one down. An Ezreal W plus actually a basic attack will almost all but kill that turret. And right here, this was the near sight into the Ornn ultimate. Again, they're using this as such a great kind of pick tool here from JJ, who's getting some good roams off, disengaged from Rush. And that's when they started to actually channel the Rift Herald on top of it.
Swain is so very hard to kill once he has everything he needs, but considering he already popped the stopwatch, the zone isn't complete yet. He's at a stage of the game right now where he still is vulnerable. Good recognition from FlyQuest, seeing that and taking advantage of it. Next Drake's going to be Infernal again. Baron spawning here in 1 minute as well. So we'll start to see teams play around that top side of the map a bit more. If we check in on the state of vision in this game, you can see the fact that the game is still very close by how many wards are scattered around the river from both sides. Nobody's super confident to push up into enemy territory yet and really start trying to take more of that territory.
I really like that as kind of a metric to look at who is controlling the map more. And you can see the vision is kind of split too, because Echo Fox have now put Solo in the bottom side, but this is another hover. Santorin goes on cooldown for another game.
Here's what we're talking about with the Nocturne and how he can influence the split push matchups. It's not 1v1 when you've got your own personal pocket ghost ready and waiting to go.
Pocket Ghost couldn't ask for more there. And honestly, it's a great time to gank too, because they're pressuring mid.
Shot Barrage comes down there. It's still going to be a 2 versus 1, quickly turning into a 4 versus 1 against Pobelter, who doesn't have any way out, tries to throw out the claw, realizes that if he ults there, he's dead anyway. He needed to follow the claw to get over the wall and then ult in a safer position, but he could not do it in time, falls anyway.
Yep, he had the flash, used it, had the ultimate, opted not to use it there, but also the Baron was coming up at that same time. That's why it was such a good gank on the bottom side to get Solo off the map, because you could get Baron control afterwards, but Fox don't roll over, they gank mid at the same time, and they catch Pobelter kind of roaming a little too hard.
This is a fun game so far. Both teams are just finding advantages in their own ways, going back and forth just blow for blow. 9 kills at 20 minutes, pretty solid numbers to be putting up. 4 of those kills of FlyQuest 5 are on Santorin, and he has an assist for the one that he didn't get. That Guardian Angel I already mentioned is completed. You can see the Ruby Crystal and Longsword in the inventory. Could be going towards a Phage, could also be going towards the Jarm's Fist for a Sterix Gauge. Either one of those options, very viable.
Yeah. If he wants that CDR, wants more ultimates, it's probably the Black Cleaver. But if he does want to have that extra durability, it is the Jarm's Fist into the Sterix for him. I would assume it's the Black Cleaver because the cooldown reduction is just so sweet.
It feels so good.
Oh, so good.
So good.
On that Nocturne. So we'll see what he ends up going with. Fox here, they're just going to rush down that mid, get that turret back, and now the turret count is evened up.
Worth noting as well, both Sonya's Hourglasses are completed for Rush and Phoenix on the side of Echo Fox, so initiation potential as strong as ever here for this team. Muramana completely evolved for Apollo here too. As you can see, the second tier has just recently begun stacking, only up to 50 out of 750. We'll likely see that one done around the 30-minute mark, late 20s, usually 27, 28.
Viper.
Solo gets a lot of damage down to Viper, looking to go in and find the kill, bring down the hammer, and he takes him out.
And that was just a quick bop right there. No Zonias for him. Viper just got the Morel and Omicron, mostly for the healing that'll happen from the Gragas and the Swain. So he hasn't had time to go towards that utility item, having the Aftershock kind of work overtime, but it's not working hard enough.
Not against Solo, and he's got damage like that. Topside Phoenix and Rush, making sure this gets pushed out without any exceptional danger.
Yeah, and when you don't go that Seeker's Arm Guard, this lethality goes further. He's at 2 lethality items, the Yomus, and he's got the Serrated Dirk powering up now for the next one. So that means he was basically hitting a squirrel that had nothing on.
And for those of you who aren't aware of the way things work, the way the armor and MR formula works in League of Legends, the lower your armor and MR are, and the closer the lethality or the M-Pen brings you to 0, the more cost-effective those stats are. Shredding 20 armor on a dude who's got 250, doesn't really matter. Shredding 20 armor on a dude who's got 20 armor, guess what number you're at now, Zyrene? 20 minus 20. It's 0. I'm not a stats guy, but even I can do that one. Very, very effective, and it's super dangerous for somebody who has no armor built. Echo Fox still very slightly in the lead this time around. The Infernal Drake spawning in 15, and they're moving into position to set up the vision.
And then Infernal Drake will go very far with this composition that pretty much has only one person, the Braum, who won't make use of those stats. Everybody really wants to dip into those. The AP from the Gragas is going to get even better, which actually increases his durability because his W gives him damage reduction based on his AP, which is why we saw those Runic Echo builds come out and the kind of the move from Cinderhulk about half a year ago.
All right, Phoenix will be the guy starting off the Infernal Drake. Again, the pit is not swept out. There is a ward in the very back of it, so FlyQuest knows what's going on.
Watch for the team fight. Watch for Viper on the side here.
Want to go in. It's going to be stolen away by Santorin, doing a great job with that one. Viper going into the back lines, able to find the slicing maelstrom on the multiple people. Apollo's already going to be taken down. Solo the target next. Santorin looking to fight off Rush here in the pit. Guardian Angel going to be bringing him back to life. Viper still looking to grab some damage. It's a double kill over to Pobelter. The remaining members of Echo Fox head for the hills. JJ won't bother chasing any further, but again, lightning strikes Echo Fox, and it strikes as a smite steal.
That was exactly what FlyQuest were looking for. They wanted to get the steal if possible, but they get the team fight afterwards anyway. So even if that Drake didn't go their way, they made the right play by having the engaged stick. Even if the exhaust came down on Viper, he reached the backline and had that Kennen ultimate that we were looking for.
So well done there from FlyQuest, both in execution of the fight and Santorin just showing up in that moment when you need to. One of the most important skills for a jungler is being able to time that, and if you have a dude who can consistently do it, or on the flip side of the coin, if you have someone who is struggling to secure those objectives, it makes so much of a difference.
Yep, you can see disables the ward, Viper comes around the side, and then this ultimate will also shield the entrance from Viper. That is another smite where it does not go off. Even though the Ornn ultimate is blocked, Viper gets into the backside there, is able to lock people down with Pobelter coming in too. So the double ultimates from the mages does massive amounts of work in this fight to make it so it's a 2-for-0, and Santorin's the only one who drops, but he's got the GA.
He doesn't have to worry about it, and Apollo was just evaporated from that fight before really anything happened. And look at the inventory of Santorin, because although he already used his previous stopwatch to build Guardian Angel, he said, hey, I've got another stopwatch now. You're not getting my 700 gold.
Doesn't want to give the bounty away, and that's the big thing too, is Nocturnes, he can really have the game rubber band back on him if he gives up that bounty early. When you get fed as a jungler that's supposed to dominate the early game, you can just give that away. If it ends up in the hands of the Ezreal, it feels really bad. He'll have his completed Archangel staff. It really does go a long way to just invest some more gold into your early game and into keeping yourself safe in these fights. So ultimates are coming back up right now. I don't know if they're going to wait for a flash from Viper again, but we'll see what happens here because they have the 1-3-1 going for FlyQuest.
FlyQuest seems to be happy playing that game for now. Remember, their lead isn't insane. Like, we just saw them have a very good fight. We saw them take the objective because of it, but they're still about 2,000 gold up in a game where the overall gold is around 45K. So it's not like this team can just walk all over the map and do whatever they want. They really still have to play respectfully of Echo Fox and what their team can do. FlyQuest, however, is moving up into this top side. Look at the wards being placed down that we're seeing right now into all these brushes, making Fox think twice about moving into their own jungle.
Yeah, you just saw that Phoenix had to use the W to even check the Baron. The blue trinket off of cooldown for Apollo, so he can't check it once. But this is where the 1-3-1 happens from Fly, and they're just going to trade vision. So now Fox are going to start looking at that Baron area to just clear it from wards. I don't think they're actually going to start it up here.
One thing I'm also keeping track of, both teams, 3 teleports each, and they're all currently available. So anybody can show up almost anywhere at this point in time. Summoner spellbooks are also on both supports, and although they don't have teleports now, that's an additional teleport you could also see. So a max of up to 8 teleports in this game of League of Legends.
That's the game.
Fortunately for junglers, they have to take Smite.
Yeah. But that's the game, though. You got to play in these team fights. Is whose TP is that? Doesn't matter.
Or is it the fun box of TPs where it's everyone at the same time?
It's the clown car
TP. Yeah.
But in this game, I feel like the flanking ones are going to be the most important, especially FlyQuest, who have kind of shown a propensity to have those flanks, to want to win team fights off of that. And if Viper can find a good one here, or even Pobelter, we can be very devastating in these team fights. Whereas Fox, they need to have kind of a front-to-back or kind of pull-you-apart approach. But I feel like Solo's not winning the side lane anymore because he's so afraid of what Santorin can do.
Good job there from Echo Fox, blowing the flash from Santorin. Would have been able to pick him off if not for that one, but the TP does come in from Solo.
TP from Solo means that Viper gets to push the bottom lane. Solo is actually now a hindrance to his team. I feel like Phoenix is the one who out now has to answer the side lane instead. So it becomes really bad for him to go to the bottom side as Solo.
And normally, taking anything as a trade for a flash, other than a death, like a resource expenditure for a flash, is good because flash has such a long cooldown, but teleports is even longer. Viper into Solo, 1v1, but it's not going to be 1v1 for long. Santorin swoops in, makes sure that the first kill is going to occur for FlyQuest, and the rest of the team has showed up. The Ornn horn is sounded. The Ram's not going to find anybody. Apollo gets himself back over the wall. He's going to be safe for now, but it's still 2 for FlyQuest. And Rush finds himself in the wrong place at the wrong time. Wild Turtle breaks down the calling. See ya!
Whew. And that's just 3 straight off the map immediately. FlyQuest can go towards the Baron right now, not have to worry about any Smite steal. And there's a TP that's coming out from Apollo to try and just get back to the map.
very well done by FlyQuest there. They recognize, hey, we know Viper's not going to start this off in the best spot because they're going to swoop in, but we can help him too. Phoenix now finding himself jumped on. JJ's going to be zoning Apollo away. Has to flash out, keeping himself alive. Echo Fox, could this be your opportunity? The shutdown over onto Wild Turtle. Apollo's going to find one onto Santorin, and Fox does work.
Looking for JJ. He's still going to make it out there. And Echo Fox, Apollo, and Phoenix, the guys who were having such great games yesterday, despite not coming up with a win, are going to save this one right now.
From the ashes rises a hero. Phoenix getting in there in the middle of everyone, just lighting them up. And Echo Fox will now take down this Baron for themselves. A wonderful twist on what looked like a disastrous situation.
And we have not seen a Swain in a good while here. He brings it out, the last pick for them, and it is doing work. It has dominated the lane phases. He is saying this is a counter to the Lissandra with the grasp in lane. It'll change a bit of what happens forward for Fox. But this team coming out with some new looks, and it's working great.
They may have had the last Infernal Drake stolen, but this time around, Santorin is only just now alive. That is Infernal number 2, secured for the side of Echo Fox. Let's take another look at how this 2v5 saved the day.
And JJ doesn't have ultimate. He's off on the side looking for a flank. A good ultimate comes through from Apollo, but the Baron has gotten them low. Phoenix with the pull, pulls in Wild Turtle. He has to flash away. GA happens to flash for the follow, and then they're able to collapse on that Guardian Angel too. Apollo didn't have any threat on him. He flashed immediately away from where JJ was, saying, I'm not going to get caught up here. And that was a great two-man kind of waltz to make that play happen in the 5 members of FlyQuest.
And once again, it's Echo Fox behind the steering wheel. These guys are in control of the way this game is going to be paced out, at least for the next 2.5 minutes. Baron buff up and running. They've got the slight gold lead. Let's see how they're able to play this one out. Remember, TPs are now down for everybody in the game except for Viper. So we'll see if FlyQuest can maybe find some kind of an amazing flank through that. But if you look at the map right now, there's really not anything behind Echo Fox lines in terms of wards, so they're just pushing straight up.
Yep, they're pushing straight up. They have to push this advantage, by the way, as well, because their composition, these team fights won't always go their way. It's kind of Phoenix is the one who's got the big source of power here, a little bit from Apollo too, but just the CC that will come out from FlyQuest in these fights later means that they have to really force this down. And we already see a 3,000 gold Baron power play. That's exactly what you want to see as an Echo Fox fan, and want to see them push even further. They will get this inhibitor turret.
Inhibitor turret already falls. Pobelter wants to come in from a flank from the side. See if maybe they can make it happen. Viper's also going to be TPing in here. He needs to get into the back lines fast, but he won't be able to do it. Phoenix zoning away multiple people on FlyQuest. Already has Turtle down to about half HP. Accelerated Shock Blast nearly going to kill him. And Echo Fox says, we don't care about your flank. We're marching straight into the front door, and we will destroy your mid laner. They are on to the next turret. Viper's going in. He's able to find a massive 5-man ulti, but it is not going to be enough. Echo Fox will put him in the dirt, and they'll do the same to the rest of FlyQuest. The damage comes out, and the bodies are dropping. 3 dead for the side of Fly. Echo Fox 5 men strong in the enemy base. The next minion wave is coming, and they will surely end the game with it.
Oh, Apollo almost drops.
Apollo gets very close to dead, but close is not enough. The front line will stand between Apollo and FlyQuest, and nothing will stand between Fox and the Nexus. Turtle will fall, JJ will follow, and Echo Fox will find the win.
And you can see Apollo going towards Phoenix saying, we did it, man. We saved the game, and they absolutely did. That Baron play where they came up huge, stopped the Baron, flipped the momentum, and made it a Fox game means that Rush doesn't have an 0-2 week ever still on his record.
That's motivation for every League of Legends player out there to believe in themselves and their duo queue partner. 2 versus 5 can win a game of League of Legends. You can go in and completely change the outcome of the game if you play it right. That was the moment for Echo Fox, and those two got to feel fantastic about it.
Oh, absolutely, and especially since they had a great game yesterday, but lost agency in it off of the Baron play. This is one where they had a Baron play themselves and regained control of the game as just 2 people. That was an amazing fight, and the ending fight there too from FlyQuest looked hopeful. You saw glimpses of what their composition was supposed to accomplish. Pobelter got caught though, so Viper having the 5-man ultimate, like you said, Flowers, meant almost nothing.
It looked cool. It looked like it was almost enough, and honestly, if you had Pobelter, it probably was.
Yeah.
But when he gets popped beforehand, Echo Fox did a great job of recognizing the ability to kill him. He died with ultimate up, so never even had the chance to defend himself from that one. Well played by Echo Fox. Still a bit of shakiness in the mid game. We saw the Infernal Drake get smited away, but the team did a wonderful job recovering.
And they did a great job of, once they got that lead, just hammering it home immediately. They did not waste any time. There was no hesitation for them, and they knew what they were up against. They knew they were up against the potential of a 5-man cannon ultimate, of a Poe Belter flank. There was that one TP at the end there where it looked like they were going to go for a fight, but the control ward actually didn't spot the ward completely, and so they were spotted out.
From Baron to Nexus in about 120 seconds. For more on that impressive victory, Ovely is standing by with a victorious top laner.
Thanks, Flower. Solo, congratulations on the win and keeping Rush's streak of never having a 0-2 weekend alive. Coming into a game after a Saturday loss, does his confidence affect you guys?
Yeah, I mean, he always knows that he's going to go 1-1 at worst. And I guess Sunday is our day. I mean, I don't know, he must be like a godly man or something and done some praying in the morning. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I don't know. He just seems to, it's kind of like bad in a way because, you know, you lose a game, but always win a game. So, you know, can't be too upset about it.
And today, FlyQuest Viper answered your Jace with a Kennen pick. What did you think of that top lane matchup today?
I mean, I felt like I was laning versus Nocturne more than I was his Kennen, but I mean, it's kind of what you have to do. I think they played well with it. I was maybe too aggressive at times and got punished, but yeah, I mean, it's like a team pick. So, I mean, they played around it well, but I mean, we had a Swain, so, and Phoenix was able to do some crazy stuff.
And to pick your brain a little bit about what's going on in the top lane right now. Yesterday, we saw Clutch's Huni pull out the Klepto Zillion, and there's rumored to be more picks kind of like that with the Spell Thief. What do you think of that top lane right now?
I think it's going to hurt my CS 15 numbers a lot, but yeah, it seems pretty good. Just being able to kind of, you don't get a lot of gold early, but as soon as you finish your support item, you can get a lot of gold later. I think we'll be seeing a little bit more of it, especially with AD carry changes. Just having, you know, your top laner be like almost a second support can do a lot of things for you.
Well, Solo, thank you and congratulations again on the win. And for more on the game, let's hear from the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, Ovely, Echo, Fox, and Rush. Ending the weekend on that 1-1. We now know why High predicted them to win this one, because he knows that Rush never goes 0-2 in a weekend at the LCS. But I love the question to Solo about all the craziness that's happening in the top lane right now, because it feels like in Champions Like you have to guard or prepare for so many different options when it comes to those top lane matchups. And in this particular case, he jokes, but in a sense was correct in saying I had to lane against two people, and not only a Kennen, but a Nocturne. A Nocturne, yeah, if not more so, throughout that game.
I mean, who knows? Maybe that Jace was a flex. Clutch yesterday flexed it to the jungle, so maybe they were holding it, and once they saw the Kennen, they're like, okay, we can leave the Jace in the top lane. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's the point of a Nocturne, though, to echo your point here on laning against the jungler. That's the effect that this has. And for FlyQuest's side, I would say they were using it well for the majority of the game.
I know. You're going to have to help me understand how this game so suddenly ended in Echo Fox's favor after the way that the first 20 minutes of the game played out, with FlyQuest getting the early kills and advantages in the top lane and even winning a number of skirmishes when it came to the 5v5s.
Yeah, a lot of it was with Nocturne, you know, using these ults very well to get a lot of kills. He got fed very early, so he got the GA, then they had the dragon fight. Here's a couple of looks at the top lane side. This is Kennen going in. He does have the aftershock, so he's more tanky when he goes in, but it's mostly just about, you know, the stun setting up with Nocturne, who brings the damage.
And they have a really one-dimensional comp in a sense where it's like literally 4-5 dive engage champions. Even Lucian is great at following up on these kinds of plays, and they start out really great because all these are 1- or 2-man attempts. They're using their kind of global advantage that they have with the Nocturne being able to collapse quickly to pick up a number of kills. But whenever the 5v5s happened, it wasn't quite as clean.
Yeah, and honestly, this is the style of composition that they've been most successful with, right? All of their wins, all 3 of them came with the orange support. All of them came with multiple forms of engage, very clear win conditions, and I think this draft did work well for them. As far as how they lost, I mean, it's one word, it's Baron. Right?
Or Phoenix. I think Phoenix might be the word. Or Swain. Interchangeable, all 3 of these.
Depends how you spell it.
They're going to the Baron. They have no cooldowns left. They have no tanking the Baron. So Santorin is at about 10% HP, wandering into the Swain ultimate. They're all incredibly low. There was no way that they can win this, and I think they maybe got too caught up in the fact that it was a 5v2 and didn't consider what it would actually take to knock down a fed Swain who has Zonias, who has full HP, when you don't have your cooldowns and you're a press R composition.
It was definitely a huge blunder. They all split up. You know, Ezreal came in there as well. Huge damage can come out from Apollo, and at that point, they actually just walked into it.
And the problem that we said with this like one-dimensional comp is once you fall behind, like who are you diving? You have Gragas and Swain who both have Zhonya's. You have an Iceborne Gauntlet Ezreal. It's actually a pretty hard
Jace, that's
yeah,
it.
Yeah, you have Jace to dive into. And once you fall behind, the other team has Baron and you're trying to dive into all that stuff, your comp completely falls apart. And so the final push that they had, you saw them like flank around with a TP and then be like, we can't go. And they just backed off and lost the game. It's how that goes.
Yeah, there seemed to be a couple miscalculations around the Swain, maybe some unfamiliarity for FlyQuest, not having seen that pick be so prevalent in the current meta, but as well, when talking about Echo Fox in previous matchups, we have pointed at Rush and Phoenix as being members who aren't necessarily operating at the level we would expect from them for Echo Fox to break into the top 5, top 4 conversation. But how do we feel about a performance like this from a player like Phoenix?
I think certainly Phoenix should be really happy with his performance. I thought he performed better than anyone else in the entire game. I think the pick made a lot of sense as kind of an anti-dive. They're diving in, you're walking forward into their backline in the middle of everyone with your ultimate. Extremely tanky, extremely kind of absorbent champion in this situation. And I think he played great.
Yeah, I think some of the specific things that he did were used as passive really well. There are a lot of clutch plays. Someone else applies a crowd control, but the big move is Swain pulling that person back, and that's how they get these picks.
Yeah, and Rush is still on my suspect list. He had a play where Nocturne ulted in and smited the Baron away. Once again, his smite not on cooldown, so still some areas of improvement for Rush.
Oh, without a doubt in that one, but we'll be happy to pick up the win to go 1-1 on the weekend. We're taking a break. When we return, Clutch Gaming load into the Rift opposite Cloud9. You don't want to miss it.